The following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1.
The road has been long, the battles have been hard fought, but we have finally arrived at the moment known as the Elite Eight. This morning, early morning, we are going to determine who the overall champion is going to be of the HufflePuff region to advance into the Final Four. On one side, we've got Captain, the king of quick draw, if you will. Wastes no time in knowing exactly what card and what strategy he's ready to play. On the other side, you've got Yepez, a little bit slower, a little more methodical in how he plays. Now, while these styles may clash, it will certainly put together a good recipe in terms of the chemistry we are going to see in this tournament's gameplay. Give these two a best-of-9 series, 2 power plays apiece. We are in for a fight here today. Both of these competitors put away their opposition in their respective Sweet 16 battles. It was a 5-1 advantage for Captain, a 5-2 advantage for Yepez. But you have to feel it's not going to be as smooth sailing here today as two titans get ready to clash. I'm Seth Cole. I got KT alongside of me, short with the reffing here today. And KT, as said, the styles, they don't mix. They're entirely opposite with what we saw both Yepez and Captain utilize in order to be able to move on here to this Elite Eight. With that being said, there's not, I don't think, going to be as much a period of adaptation as we would see in tournaments past. I think today, both of these competitors going to just stick with what brought them to the dance.
So, I think so too, Seth. And you look at Yepez, I always say about his game, it's the methodical, but he knows when to draw back and get cards. It doesn't mean he always has cards, but he wants cards, whether it be ammo or numbers. He plays that methodical style. However, the only difference here, Seth, this is a rematch. It's not a rematch that we saw last year in terms of this bot, but it was on the old bot where Cap took care of business, and he said his most famous quote, "My level was better than his," with the old tennis gif. Now, this is a little bit different. These guys have, of course, foreign flair. We got Venezuela and Latvia. They know what's on the line. There's 5 countries represented in this Elite Eight. It's been a foreign affair. We'll get to the bracket here in a second. But I think these guys know each other. They're going to have a lot of clashing oppositions in terms of styles, as you said. I think the one X factor today could be is Yepez is a player that we don't know when he'll use the power play. He'll use it in unique ways. Cap, on the other hand, 5, 6, 7 cards and it's over, right? And that's just how he plays, the lightning quick style. Can Yepez slow that down, right, in a way? And Cap, can he be comfortable in the 14, 15 that we're expecting here from Yepez? That's going to be cool to watch and witness. Should be a good one. Back to you, man, for some opening cues for both, and of course the bracket.
Yeah, let's take a look at that said bracket, because here today, as mentioned, we're going to determine who wins the Hufflepuff region. And then they go on to face off against either Nick or Toaster Guy. Their matchup going to be tomorrow at 7. We also later on this evening are going to be determining who's going to be on top in the Gryffindor house. That's Ashley taking on Chamek, and they, of course, one of them will go on to face off against KT or Lane Sanders. We'll get that determined also tomorrow night. But you look here, and there's a lot of diversity in terms of the number of seeds that these drivers came, or that these particular players came in with as well. A 2v5 seed here in this one, but as you mentioned, with the style of play and everything, a bit of a rematch with these particular guys. I mean, we could definitely be in for looking at what could equate to a 1 seed versus 1 seed battle.
Absolutely, Seth. It's going to be a good one. I think I'm going to ask I think we'll do the same thing we did similar to the last game. I think you'll pick a side. You want to pick Cap or Yepez? Who do you want to take the question?
I'll take Cap since I saw his game.
All right, I'll take Yepez. I know. We'll start with the former world champ, Yepez. It's been a vengeance tour, right? We talked about this. You've been on a vengeance tour since the start, taking care of business against Leah, smoking hockey, and then, ironically, your toughest game was Brian 3 weeks ago, which is crazy to say, about 3 Fridays ago. You've learned from all 3 characters, right? I don't know if anything translates to any of those players into Cap style, but you have seen him in the past. Where do you think the litmus test is going to be today, knowing that there is 2 power plays, and it is a little bit different for a rematch considering this is on the new bot? What do we got? And throw a question over. The Cap would be Seth Cole. Go for it, my man. As he types.
Yes, so Cap, I mean, obviously we know about your quick style of play, but I remember back to that matchup you had that advanced you here into this Elite 8 with Ghost, and a couple of things that stood out to me. You were really strong in the early going, having the call of cards that were in the middle region, but we saw as we got closer towards the end and Ghost was starting to mount a comeback, you went to the lower card count. Do we look at that same type of strategy here today, or do you maybe go back to that lower card count, see if you can get the number efficiency and maybe the luck on the draw that you were able to have back in that Sweet 16?
As they type
yes,
out
Yepez, I did say drivers. I'm sorry. I'm so used to and our broadcasts here.
You're good, man. Force it happen. No, and one thing that's going to be really interesting this happens. 2 extra games, right? We talked about in the last round, 2 pairs. Same format as the S16. It's a major format. But both these guys know a thing or two about winning, right? When you look at Seth, when you look at hold a minute. Let's see. So I've faced the bottom 20 players C-wise, and so far I've been finding captains different. It's going to be Russia and let to see if we can counter each other's card counts. Yeah, that's why I expected an answer. It will not be plan A a lot. I don't think so. When Yepez goes to that upper tier, we'll see how Cap's plan B, C, D, F, G is around. Yepez, though, we have to see what his plan A will be on those 5, 6, 7. We know Cap has done a little bit of some workarounds on 9 cards to start too. Something to keep in mind. But you look at this Cap, you look at his path here, man. He played Rogers, Myth. Okay, Myth was the rematch, sure, and then Ghost. And he looked dominant. And sometimes when you look so dominant, you question where's the weakness. And right now there isn't one. But how does Yepez expose one weakness? Well, there's the strategy right there, Seth. Point that out.
Yep, so very similar to what he did against Ghost. And I had to chuckle, KT, because I looked back at the series that Yepez had with Leah. One of those games ended up almost going half an hour. We didn't even have half an hour of game content from the Captain Ghost. I mean, my gosh, I think we had, about maybe 15 minutes tops in all the games combined. It was over pretty quickly as soon as it started. Will be interesting to see here with this one. You know, we ended up, as mentioned, having some pretty quick draw with Captain and Ghost, so it got over pretty quickly. How drawn out does this end up being? How many draw cities do we see these particular guys go into?
Absolutely. Draw City will be a vital part to both of these guys' games, especially Cap when he starts to make a statement like that. He's putting that psychological warfare. I'm going to say my strategy and see if Yepez can counter. And that's the beauty of this game. It's a little psychological. I think it's enough pregame, man. We did it for 10 minutes. I think we're ready to roll into the ref, and let's get this game underway. Give me a go one.
All right, so we'll head it down to Short, who's doing the reffing. Cap, you get the call for the first game. You said you can be starting middle tier. What are we looking at?
Could be a nine bagger here to start with fun. Yep, there it is.
There it is. You had it. Right on the mark.
Yeah, it's been a popular starting card for Cap. All right, Seth, take this intro.
Skip game one. Business.
It's always open. Go for it.
And we're going to start out. How about that? So we start with 9 cards, and we start with a red 9. So 9 seems to be the theme to kick off this tournament, and it keeps going. We'll go to the blue 9 here. An immediate color change from Cap. Man. And another color change now from Yepez.
Trips 9, undercut strat. Cap going to roll with the yellow, and this is what Cap wants, man. He wants this quick, fast play style. He's got everything he wants in terms of Yepez playing fast. When does Yepez slow it down will be the key, unless he doesn't slow it down and waits till that upper tier. We'll find out.
Yep. And it will also be interesting to see as well, because both of these guys, as you're seeing here right out of the gate, love the color swap. They try and rely on the number efficiency at the end, but use the color swap to try to throw the opponent off. Neither one is really bitten as of right now. Everybody's been able to keep playing despite these color swaps. See the continuation there with the blue 1. We've not yet had anybody get iced out on a particular color.
Yep, no ice out, Seth, and no action cards. Still holding on to those action cards. Pivotal. Here comes Yepez loading up, looking for a possible double. Takes his time. Step back, as usual. In March Madness, of course, Yepez, world champion before, and he'll make the first action card for Ashley to start off the day.
We started in the red, immediately swapped over to the blue. So we're back to the red. Cap will run with it.
Tie game right here. Cap out. Here comes Yepez now.
Now, by that March Madness, the ball is in the court right now of Yepez. He can continue to run with the red. If he can keep the number efficiency, keep Cap drawing.
Yepez looking really good now here, Seth. But the question is, where's that finish? And you got to think for Yepez, he plays singular style. He could have the finish any time.
Ooh.
He's going to play number of fish. Gives Cap it life. He gives some life to Cap. The green.
Could that open Pandora's box depending on what Cap had?
All numbers.
What he drew. Yep, all numbers going to stay with the 0. And
Ooh.
now he'll ice out Yepez. Might be able to draw this back even.
Yeah, real number game. There's the first actual action card in the wild. There's the reverse from Cap. Does Yepez get number of fish? No. Great move on the 9, too. We saw so many of those.
Cap will continue to run with the green. Now down to 2 cards. What does Yepez do? Can't do anything.
Nothing.
Is there a finish from Cap? Can he at least get it to Uno?
Cap the switch.
Whoa, to the yellow. The number efficiency there. But now, Yepez more than likely would have yellow. What does he do in this situation? Does he maybe have a 6 to swap over a color? Does he have an action card? What's the situation here? Down 5-1.
Something's got to happen. There's a save. There it is.
There you go.
Keeps it yellow, interestingly enough, though. Seeing if Cap had that last card in yellow, we'll have to ask him that question. Now Cap into a Plan B game. Let's see. He'll roll with it. Pez drawing. There we go. So that's definitely ISO tactics. The key here, Seth, is can he get the switch? And there it is. Just about to say.
There it is. Cap with the draw, or the play, I should say, the swap into the blue. Let's see what Yepez does here.
Cap right now. He's got the momentum back after that +4. Yepez throws a heater +2, and once again, Seth, when we go back and forth, Yepez now takes the scoreboard flipper in the lead.
Trading the ammo back and forth off of what they're getting on the draws here. So Yepez play a +4 as a defensive play to draw Captain back. Now does Captain have an answer? Yes, he does.
Well, that might have been either a top deck, Seth, or he may have saved that, or the +2. Seth, you got to say right now, both guys have had the ammo. It's been a very tick-and-tack game. The only difference right now, I would say, is the ammo wears down. Do we start to see exhaustion games? You look at the game log here. We're at this longer than Cap wants to be.
Yes.
Ironically.
That is true. And interesting your point there of the possibility that that +4 might have been a draw twice. Not once, but twice back in the Cap versus Ghost game. He ended up getting a +4 off the draw, and look at that.
Split ammo to the core. Go ahead and ask him a question for Cap. Go for it.
Yeah, Cap, I mean, we ended up seeing you and having to draw a couple of times. Did you get the +4 as we saw you play there late off the draw? Were you holding them back in reserve? What was the situation there? Because as I said, we saw you back in the Ghost game. We ended up seeing twice. I think it was in back-to-back games. You ended up top decking a +4, which helped open it up for you.
I'm going to ask Yepez. Ooh,
wow.
That is killer. I was just going to say.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. I mean, Yepez, I don't even think that's a bad move to play the +4. You don't know if Cap's got the finish. The only question I have is, why keep it in yellow? Was my approximation right? You try to isolate the yellow to where maybe he doesn't have any creativity in other colors? Okay. Cap, what was the final card before the +4? I mean, looking at this, looking back, he could have had that yellow 7.
Yeah, you were talking about a possibility of a yellow there when we saw him do the color swap with the I think it was a yellow 6.
But back to my question here, man. Excluding that +4, did you get a good feeler of that game? It was a mid-tier start, wasn't the lower tier. You forced them back 4 minutes, but ultimately, you think maybe aggressive switching and that wild, maybe you thought make the break now, considering you saw a trend in numbers games, and unfortunately, it was just bad timing. Ooh, that's 2 interesting things, Seth. So blue 7. Let me see.
Yeah, he would not have had a finish then, because the last card he had at the time that he had played was a yellow 6. So
So
he
we got
would
2
not have
plus
had
4.
something to get to that blue 7.
2 plus 4 is a blue reverse and a blue 7 off the draw. On that +4. That's
I can't blame him for pulling that +4 though. That's
no,
basically
you can't.
hindsight.
No.
That no.
No, you can't. And I understand. You know what? There, I wonder if the only thing I could think of, Seth, right? The only thing you could even potentially do is it's a risk. You'd play just the reverse in 1, but at that point, it's cap. You know he's got something in the back end. So it's unfortunate for Yepez where he got stuck in a conundrum where no green was able to leverage him on a reverse or something. Because if he had some green reverse, maybe he plays that differently where he can maybe say, okay, yellow reverse, green reverse, draw, right? If he wants to play the risky game, but he just didn't have any options for cap. What is there to say? 2 plus 4s off that +4. That's Uno guys making it work for you. I got nothing. That's just how Cap plays, man. This aggression, he plays that style where he hopes for something in return on this lower mid-tier field. It's working out as he's now got his 14th win of the tournament.
Yeah, and I agree with Short on the fact that I agree with the +4 play. We are at the point now of this particular tournament where the criteria of players know how to finish with double, trio, quad runs. When we're at 2-3 cards left, you've got to do something to block that possibility. It may not be there, but you can't take that chance.
Really can't. Really can't. And you really can't blame him for dropping that +4 at all. Really, I would have done the same, especially against Cap. He has always seemed to have an answer in those situations, and yeah, you really can't blame him. It's all hindsight at that point to say, "Oh, he had a blue 7." Well, I mean, you did what you could in that situation.
Now the question becomes, this is the big one. He said, I'm going to start mid, I'm going to go low. And this is where he just finds the way. And if Cap says, okay, 4-minute game, let's try to drop that down to a minute and a half and ice out my questions and stuff. I think this is what he's going to try to do. He's going to go something low and really change the momentum. Let's find out. This is going to be really a gamble, but that's what Cap does. He gambles. He goes to the casino. He looks nice in that tuxedo and says, show me what you got. That's how
Cap
he
wants
plays.
to gamble and destroy the analysis.
That's
Might
it.
as well go to the casino.
Nope.
He's gotten pretty lucky, gotten bailed out on a lot of good ammo on the draws. We'll see if it continues on here. And he's going to go 1 down.
Crazy.
Did we start with an 8? Because we started with a 9 when he called for a 9. Nope, we're half an 8.
Half off special.
Yep.
Half off. Yep. Into Rogers. And we'll see what happens now. That's what Cap wants, man. He wants to go for us. We go for a double play right off the start. Ditto on the bot.
Little ditto.
Yep. Now Yepez looking for a run here. Does he have a run or does he want to play it cool? You never know with Cap. I think he's got to understand. There's the aggression. There's the switch in the knob. Cap rolls. Right now, Seth, it's back and forth, man. It's back and forth on the switches. And there we go. I was just about to say. I had a feeling he had something backdoor. Save the yellow and see if Cap can cook. Let's see.
Both of them kind of trying to, in the early going of both these games, trying to preempt each other with these color swaps. Holy cow.
Man.
It's a classic move, and Yepez can roll. It's 2 color. The question is who runs out of that color first. Cap's still running. All numbers here. Yepez, could he have a switch to the 6? He does.
Oh.
He does. Some great number efficiency here.
Here's Yepez's card. Now the question is here, it's Cap's color, right? We're in green. Yepez makes the break. Can he get a finish here? I think he's got to either a finish or send Cap to the oblivion a little bit here.
Yep. We're like I said, we're down in that 3 to 4 card range. Could be within run to the finish territory.
Here we go. Cap looking to see what he can do if he gets a chance. Yepez goes double green reverse down a check. Does he have it? Can he get the check?
Does he have a finish here? Maybe into another.
Oh,
no!
no.
Leaves it
Ooh.
open.
Gives Cap a chance. Here we go.
Triple play
Nothing.
ditto.
Nothing. Wow. So what did Yepez have? Could he go with number efficiency here?
Oh, he got it!
Oh, he had the wild in reserve.
Oh, plan A. There's nothing to ask.
No.
There's nothing to ask. Damn it.
How about that? Did we
Man,
only have? I think we only had one card drawn that entire game.
It was Cap just trying to hope and pray
Yeah.
that he had some type of. Yeah, that's
Wow.
nothing. I got nothing, man. I got no questions. I mean, the only question I have, Cap, is. All right, no, Seth, unless you got something.
No, I actually don't.
Okay. Yeah, there's not much to say, and it's how these guys play. Cap, the only question I have, man, is when you went back to that blue 9, was that a case of trying to hide a yellow in reserve for a possible +2 or fade look in the reverse? The light switch has saved me. Yeah, I don't have any question for you. Unfortunately, it was plan A. Finished the job right there.
Yeah, sometimes
Anything you
you
can
live
say,
by
Cap?
the light switch. Sometimes you die by the light switch.
I'm interested to see if he faded off that yellow with a +2 or something in reserve. Because other than that, I don't. All right, I don't really see.
Flipping back to blue was the key for him. For Yepez there, wasn't it? I mean, he went for the yellow switch, but that seemed to have been the only yellow he had.
Oh, so that's why. Okay. Mostly the blues there.
Okay, so Seth, he's trying to play isolation. He's playing that one color ISO strat. It works sometimes, but you wonder for Cap and this is the one thing. There's only one thing I'll say about his game, that when he loses like this, right, he's not afraid to go back to it. And for Yepez, he builds the confidence on, okay, I got the 8 cards, right? Now I can play his game. The question is going to become, can I take care of business in the upper tier? Right? The upper tier management will be the key for Yepez as we got a 5-minute break here. If you're just joining us late, not really much has happened. You haven't missed anything, really. It's been plan A or a little bit of plan B and C in the first game, but this one, Yepez just benefited off those light switches. Minimal ammo, Seth. Your thoughts on this? Very minimal. I mean, that's what we usually would see with low tars, but we haven't seen a single skip. No +2s for Cap. No wilds for Cap. Right? He hasn't got every action card. He's finding ways, and that's unique in his game, for sure, with these lower tiers.
And low ammo off the draw, really, too. I mean, yes, we ended up seeing the +4s played by both Yepez and Cap back in that first game, but that was after they had drawn them. I mean, really, it's had to come down to pretty much what we just saw right there with the second game, where it came down to number efficiency. And with that being said, if we continue this trend where they're going to have to rely on drawing to be able to get the ammo, it's going to come down to who's just one step ahead of the other. Because if you look back at that previous game with Cap saying that he was continuing in blue, if Yepez doesn't have that green 6 to be able to swap it over to that color, we may have ended up seeing Cap be taking a 2-0 advantage here in this one, being able to control the color which he was trying to keep in the blue. So honestly, I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that here. It will be interesting to see as we start getting more into the middle of this games, if we end up seeing a lot more ammo being able to be played. But as of right now, it's looking like these guys are really having to rely on number efficiency to be able to get them to the finish line.
Number efficiency, we always talk about this, Seth. One of the biggest things with that is knowing when to have the instinct and the foresight to switch it over, and also knowing when to make a crucial play. And one of the best at it is Toaster Guy right now, at least from this tournament. He's been able to make those crucial clutch breaks, but this is not 10, 12, 13, 14. But this is 8, 9, 7, 5. It's lower. It's harder to make these breaks. And I think when you have the switching at 14 apiece, or 7 apiece, 14 combined, in a 6-minute game, we're averaging a crack ton of light switches. That makes things a little bit more difficult for each player, right? They're basically getting each other's heads. And I remember what Cap said the last time we were out here. Okay, I can do more things on 5 cards with the mind games. And that's the one advantage he has. I mentioned off the top is that psychological warfare. Cap is not a guy that you want to shake hands with. Now, you look at that profile picture, that's one thing with this card. But you don't want to shake hands with this guy in the heat of the battle. You shaking hands with him. We look what happened to Austin Rogers. He went back to the 5-6, and you shook hands with the devil in there, right? And that's what Cap's going to do. He's going to put his opponent in a headlock and say, okay, you want to play that game, and go low. I'm still going to be that guy. Yepez, if he goes high, then Cap has to adapt. I think this is going to be a fascinating when he gets back from break, this 5-minute intermission to do his business. What he can find in that upper tier and maybe prevent any light switches towards the end could be the key factor if we're not going to receive this crazy ammo war, because a lot of these ammo +4 finishes to the end. But we'll see how this one goes. It's going to be a good one. It's fascinating so far. Both players have found a way to get in each other's head. And sometimes when you plant seeds, Seth, they either grow in one direction or the other. We'll see which direction it grows today.
And I think you bring up a great point as far as the psychology, and I think it changes as we get further into the tournament. You know, we end up having our 64 players, and it's basically, I want to just stay in my own little comfort space, my own little bubble, play with what I'm comfortable with. I'm not necessarily worried about getting in the other person's head, because if I focus on that, I'm taking away the attention of what I'm doing. But as we get further into this, into the Sweet 16, now here into the Elite 8, and I think eventually when we get into the Final Four as well, you start to throw those barbs. You try to be a little bit more offensive and get inside the head of your opponent, because then that helps to give you the advantage. And as I said, it allows you to then be able to take control. You don't want the back and forth. You want to be firmly the one that is controlling every single play and throwing your opponent off. So I think that you bring up a great point that we're going to see a lot more of that in this one, where even with the light switches, we've seen it. The light switches in both these games, they're throwing the offensive jabs. They're trying to get in the head of the opponent right out of the game.
That's it, and as Yepez comes back from his break. At the end of the day, Seth, you look at these guys have been here 7 combined times in this round. And we always talk about, oh, it's easy to get... No, it is. It's not easy to get back here. The competition is continuing to get harder, and we have a lot of big names in this round for a reason. But they know every opportunity could be the last opportunity with how good the competition is. You can't waste it. In the words of Cap, right? Time is precious, waste it wisely. He don't want to waste time, and Yepez don't want to waste time. Let's get down to business for Game 3 and see what Yepez picks. Let's go for it.
All right, so Yepez, only one you cannot have right now is 8, so what are we going with? Oh, we're going up pretty high there. Just one short of a full send.
Double OG. Here we go. So we're going to let us go with it, and we're going to start it off with the Acosta 9. Now, Seth, here's the gamesmanship we're talking about. How does Cap adjust to these 14 cards? We haven't seen him do much of that at all tournament. It's big.
And we had the lower card count there with 8 and 9 and not much ammo to work with. Now with a slightly higher card count, do we have more ammo to work with for both these guys?
Goes down to a multiple of 3 into Monkey. Of course, for Cap, he's not afraid to make a switch. Just about thinking that. There it is. There's the switch into Kev. Now Yepez looking to run it back right here. What does he got? Does he roll into the red or does he go undercut strats?
Oh, bring it right. Oh.
Little clip play. Yeah, I'll get that red 8 going, I think. Maybe. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yep, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, I was going to say. You good? A little clip play. It's early. No worries. But now the question becomes here, Seth, right? We're still a long way to go. We always talk about Cap's game as a crescendo moment every time. At 14 cards, you don't know when that could happen. But there is a little bit of a sense where you get down to 5, 6, it could, right? 4. There's a little more time on a 14 versus a 7 or a 5, or especially a 6, where Cap, even more than 5, Cap just loves the 6, 7. He goes to at bat for that as we get to Sanford 6. But we have more time for a crescendo moment. That's where the plan B, C's come in. And that's why I'm interested to see how Cap adapts with the flow. Here we go.
Yeah, because here we go. A little double play there from Cap. Because, yeah, to your point, back in the Cap Ghost game, there was a point, I think we ended up having I think it was a 13-card start, and the game ended off with a 6-bagger. Like, you have more opportunity with more cards to be able to try and run a chain together dependent on what you get off the initial draw. So, yeah, like I said, normally you get into that 2, 3 territory, okay. You have to play defense. Now at this point, with the higher card count to start out with, you got to start thinking about that defense a little bit earlier than normal.
Well, thinking of that defense earlier, normal. That's a +2 there for Yepez. Cap still no +2s, and there's the rare zero sugar switch.
Interesting. He brings it to the yellow. That is what I believe Yepez had it at, and then Cap swapped it off to the red. So you'd have to assume that maybe that was one of the cards he got off of that +2 potentially.
Ooh, there's Pandora's. Start opening up a little more now in the blue, waiting for the green. Starting to open that box up, and that's big for both players where the mind games go. Let's see if Yepez tries a crossover or runs into this blue cleanly. Let's find out.
They want to be aggressive with the light switches, but to your point, could end up triggering something on the other side. Got to be careful with them. And
Undercut.
another swap.
Yeah, it's smart. Back to red, right? Limit the numbers, but Cap the famous move. There it is.
Whoa.
Number of
That's
fish
the
for
second
both.
time in 2 games he's done that, where he's had the number efficiency to immediately bring it back to the color he wanted.
Yeah, that's next level gameplay. We talk about that all the time, that ISO crossover. The question is, does Yepez come to the party and have some extra in the fuel tank with the blues? Let's find out. And he has reverse skip meta on his side. There we go. I just mentioned it. He had that earlier in his last game against Leah. That's a big point for Yepez. He needs to use that reverse skip meta when that crossover happens. Let's see how Cap takes care of business right here, and he's going to match that, of course.
Yep. Interesting there. He had the blue reverse blue 2 that we saw him just play there, but he decided to hold on to them and earlier go into the swap over to red. I don't know if he may have some more reverses in there that he was planning to eventually come back to blue, what the strategy was on that one, instead of trying to run blue out. And now maybe that's the answer right there, because he's out of blue.
So into the deuce, Brad's deuce, and that's where Yepez may have wanted that deuce. Yeah, I just said because the 2 earlier, but did Cap just say, okay, throw that deuce over there, and I might have something on the back end. We'll see. It's interesting. He did that number.
Seen a little bit of ammo played. We've seen a +2. We've seen a reverse. Seen a skip. But now we're down in that territory. 5 cards each.
There's the heat check. There we go. In the red. The wild from Ashley. Let's see. Cap runs with Ghost, his last opponent. Now the crescendo starts to come in, Seth. You think that wild changes the game a little bit. You're coming down for 14. He's going to go for the power play.
Wow.
We got 2 of them here, so he's trying to take the lead. We talked about this in the pregame, and I know Shore and I said this on the pod. Him and Lane are the 2 guys remaining that they don't care about winning the series on a power play. They don't mind having 1 less or something. He's going for it right here. Yepez looking for the finish into H. Looks for a double.
Looking for the 2-1 advantage.
Yeah,
and he's going to get it. Nicely done. That added security of having the extra power play. Played early here, but hey, sets the tone, gives him the advantage here now.
Go ahead and ask a question to Cap there, Seth. I got Yepez in set. Go for it.
Yeah, Cap, I mean, looking at the number efficiency you had there, you were able to ice out Yepez at one point there. I believe that was into the blue. Where were you at that point? Did you have a run yourself to the finish? And also with the higher card count, where were you at in terms of ammo as opposed to when you were in the mid-card count?
Oh.
Only numbers. Wow, so even with more cards, still stuck around with the same type of strategy where it had to come down to number efficiency. Because, yeah, we didn't see a single +4 played. We saw, I think, just 1 reverses. Wild. It was just a couple of skips, a couple of reverses, basically.
Yeah, it checks out. It checks out, right? He only had the numbers. And all right, go ahead. Can you have a switch with the 3? Let me go back to the tape. Was that the red 3, Yepez, or was it the... Yeah, no. Yeah, the first red 3 or the second one? Second one, right? There's 2 of them, though. The first one... Okay, okay, just want to make sure. Okay. Cap, did you have a switch before the power play, the red 3, or was it just a case so you were just iced down the numbers and you were an ice cap right there? I don't know. No. Okay. Well, okay, so I'll ask Yepez. Yepez, obviously, we talked about coming into this game, you and Lane were the 2 guys to... Don't really care about the power play, finishing a series. You guys use it whenever. Oh my word, Seth. That is,
Wow.
yeah, you can't do anything. And
Nope.
the
There's
fact that he
nothing there.
got down to the fact that he got down to 5, he had a chance to play ISO ball too in that green, because if he plays ISO ball in that green, let's say he gets the red 1, the power play doesn't happen. It does flush. It does flush a little bit of Yepez's game, but I just don't think you could do much on that.
Now, because you look at the cards that
No.
Yepez would have had left, he would have been able to run in the green, and he would have had the green skip into the red skip to finish. So,
Yeah.
I mean, boxed in that situation.
Cap only got a blue reverse off that +2 then, right, Cap? Just the blue reverse. There was nothing to cook there. Okay. Yepez, you make the power play, you get the momentum 2-1. What's more important in a series for Cap? You basically set the tone. I'll ask a simple one. Is it the momentum trying to get the Delta belt with that 2-1 advantage, or do you think, right, it's small W, exactly right, you got the power play advantage. Or do you think it's more just a case of, I want to throw it down, see if it gets in his head a little bit, or a little bit of both? What was the theory behind it? Even if it didn't technically work out in terms of he had anything, I thought he had something. Okay, so just playing that safeguard mentality.
You never know.
I got you. You never know in this game, Seth, and we talk about this. Now that Cap has the power play advantage, it's a longer series. He can do a little bit more with it, but at the same time, there's a lot to be said about both players. Has some Brennan Horrendous had he had, yeah. And then that's just the psychological thing we were talking about. When you see a player like Cap, when a run can develop at any time or develop at any point, you just want to take the lead and don't have a chance for him to answer, and that's the one way to do it. There's only 2 ways to do it, right? Either the power play, or you got the run to the finish before him. He decided to go with option A. Let's use that power play. Still got 1. Maybe can save it. We have seen in the past, like I said, with Lane. I think those 2 are the 2 guys that use it where they can use it differently, and we'll see. It's going to be an interesting juxtaposition now as Cap may have got his first bad hand, maybe of the, I don't want to say the whole tournament, but of this series, and how he adjusts to try to come back in game 4. We know Yepez plays upper tier for sure.
Certainly was a hard hand to be able to try and do anything with, even right out of the gate, as we saw what he had left there. And I almost wonder too, with the fact that this was 1 card less of a full send, and really on both sides, not a lot of ammo to be able to work with again. As I said, there were a couple of action cards there, but not many. And I almost wonder if now that has them kind of wondering, is it worth going to the higher card counts here later on in the game? Am I going to have any ammo to be able to work with? I don't know if this is necessarily going to discourage them, but it might end up changing up an initial game plan of what they were thinking late in the game they were going to choose. They may swap it up a little bit now.
We'll see about the swap up, but of course, Yepez still gets one more call here, and we talk about it. How do you swap momentum? Do you stay upper tier? Let's go ask those questions for Yepez. Seth, back to you.
All right, so Yepez. Oh, there we go. I was gonna. All right, he preempted. We're going with lucky or unlucky, depending on circumstances. 13.
All right, 13 cards. Quick series, man. We are, as we go into Aria 1, we've only been here for 12 minutes. We probably filled about 35
Yeah, we're
minutes.
not cap short level, but we're moving along.
Got to get used to it, man. We got to get used to it because Cap is a player that will play in the afternoons, evenings, or not evenings his time, but afternoons our time. So you definitely have someone to watch moving forward, these Cap streams. But we're in 3 now. Let's see if Cap plays aggressive with the switching, or does he have a more suitable non-number hand? That's what he's looking for.
Interesting here. We don't see a rapid fire play immediately out of the gate here, so might be taking his time just for a minute, analyzing everything.
Well, pace management's the thing. We talk about with pace management. We're going to see a lot of pace management, I think, in that Toasty Nick series for sure, because Toast doesn't always fire away. Nick knows how to play that slower pace too. That'll be interesting as Cap blows out, unless he had something mega off the start. Let's find out.
Could very well be that's the case as well. We'll see here.
Cap really.
Oh, food delivery. Okay. Well. Oh, wow. Immediately a draw. So here's the question. Does he not have green and doesn't want to risk an action card?
Well, Yepez is going to go back with him and be content.
Are we low ammo again on a high card draw, and we're looking for some ammo? This is you'd
Could be
have to
games.
think with 13 cards that they would have green, but then again, it's possible they don't.
Yeah, they're playing some games. Oh, so you misclicked the draw? Oh, okay.
Oh,
There's Cap. There he is in the flesh. There's his card. So, and Yepez, so they both play each other's cards. So sign of respect.
there you go. Yep.
But let's say now there's the switch. I was just about to say though, Seth, that there's got to be a switch coming because it's been too long with that one with these guys. You know, there's someone's coming. I'm not sure what to think about Cap's early draw. Maybe he was a little bit distracted with the food delivery. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Might have to hold that one back in the memory bank to ask once this game is over, because that is a little bit unusual, unless the fact that he maybe had a card that he could have played, but he wants to hold on to it.
Of course, with this bot, there's no timer in activity. You could have just could tip the driver and still come back, and we're good to roll. That's
True.
the beauty of it. But let's see, Yepez now. One thing I will say about his switches is he continues to find a little bit more of that rhythm on the upper tier as we go for a toast reverse. And now he's going into this crazy cross thread. Here we go, Seth. Looks for the triple. There it is.
You will get that.
Yeah, half off now. Cap down 6 possessions. Let's see how he responds. New color. Gives him some life, but plays it cool.
And you brought up the somewhat unorthodox strategy there of Yepez, one of those people not afraid to use the power plays early and not save them for later on for a series finisher. That's got to be something that's got to be in the back of Cap's mind as well. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but you have to entertain the possibility that Yepez would be aggressive enough to maybe even use his second and final power play here to be able to take a 3-1 up advantage. So, we talk about psychological games, trying to get in the head of your opponent. That's something that Yepez, with his style of play, could use to his advantage.
It could. As Cap now makes the bold assumption Yepez has nothing in blue to finish. He'll go for the big break right here. Let's see if it works out. Huge switch there. That's a huge one.
It is. Did he play into Yepez's hand? Yepez, no draw, so apparently he can play.
Yeah, he might have. He might have played into that hand. Wow, that's a rare mistake from Cap if Yepez finishes off.
He's got 10 cards. He could do something maybe to draw Yepez back if he's got ammo, which he does not.
Nothing. That in fact, that's a flex finish. I mean, Cap. Oh wait, go ahead and ask the question. It seems like he had nothing against that, but let's ask.
Yeah, again, doesn't look like a lot of ammo there, and that's kind of what leads to the question we have for you, Cap. On the initial play, you drew. Did you not have anything in that color there? Did you have ammo and you were just trying to hold on to it in that situation? Because with 13 cards, it would seem like there would be a play, but was there really just nothing for you to be able to do at that point in time?
And I'll ask Yepez. Yepez starting to get the hands a little bit more to your favor here, but you've been able to enable things with the light switch. Not so many light switches that game other than the red. You were able to use the reverse skip meta. Are you starting to build confidence on this upper tier where Cap at 2 green plus 2? So, okay,
yeah,
he had stuff.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I can understand not wanting to play them right out of the gate.
Right, because then at that point you're looking at, what would that be? 19 cards for Yepez? I guess 18.
That's too much chance for more ammo.
Got the G4 from the draw. Got Cap's card from the draw, and then he started to run it. Okay. Well, and that game, I think, is just a case of set. You can't play the percentage and say, well, let's send him back with more, right? Unless even if you close that off. We haven't seen the ammo, and if you look at this, we're now 4 games in. We're not averaging much on ammo. We have no one. In fact, Cap has no +2s played. Now, he's had +2s in his hand, but he hasn't played one, right? And he's only got 4 skip reverse meta versus 9. The wild +4s have been pretty normal. It really hasn't been much plan B. It's been pretty much a plan A for Yepez lately. Cards drawn's been pretty equal. Yepez a little more aggressive on the switching. Not really much has separated these guys. It just comes down to the upper tier hasn't worked for Cap, and he can flip the scoreboard just like that. That's the thing. We know this 5-8 game is where he plays, and I think he. No, we all know how that went, right? So it's a whiplash. We talk about that too. The whiplash could happen, and you got to look at this. If the whiplash does happen, you got to stand. Cap still with 2 power plays. He has that slight advantage. This is a crucial game, but the moment he can get a 1 or 2 minute win, the scoreboard could just flip right back in his favor, and we got ourselves going to a potential Game 7 tie. That's how Cap's got to play this. He's not out of it, but it's definitely an interesting juxtaposition right now for him. And he hasn't been down all tournament either. That's the one thing. Yepez has been more battle tested so far.
But we did end up seeing as well when Ghost was starting to mount a comeback in that last series that Cap had to adapt a little bit, had to adapt his strategy. And he said right out of the gate, he says, I'm not changing anything. But we did see there was a little period of adaptation. With being down 3-1, we may end up having to see an adaptation of Captain again here.
We'll find out. Cap needs something magic here, Seth. I'll give you the call for the Game 5 star. Big game for Cap. He's got to find something here.
Yeah, Cap trying to at least get this thing back to a 3-2. Only thing you can't choose is 9. What are we looking at here?
There it is.
He's going to go back to the 8. So
Yep,
keeping it down in the mid-tier range still.
Cap looking for some magic on Crazy 8s. Let's see if he can get the magic going. As we get it in from short, let's find out what he'll do here. We'll go to the nom, half off the starter. We talked about Cap playing this quick pace, and it's going to continue as we go to Ed. I think he's got to start looking at potential. Oh, never mind. That's a big play right there for Cap.
That is.
These moves rolling.
That is massive in terms of helping Cap get some momentum
That's
here.
A heat already.
Wow.
Heat check off the start from Cap.
Interesting that he would. Yeah, I'm not certain about that one. He already had, it seemed, Yepez trapped with blue.
Oh, this is too color. Sorry about that. Getting a little snack, but it's crazy. I don't know, man. It's working though.
It is.
Yepez is just not. He needs red or green. There it is. There it is. Oh, it's 2 color. It's the ultimate 2 color.
Wow.
Cap needed the yellow blue. Yepez needs red and green.
So now it's going to come down to not make sure
Number.
you don't play the wrong number for the other person to be able to swap it over to the color they need.
Yeah, Yepez probably content at that rate. It's a top deck there. It's not going to do much harm. Just got to get the right number. Cap's still in the lead, but Yepez looking to tie, and he'll draw back. And once again,
both iced out. So are they both at 1 color now?
I think it's low ammo, man. I think this has been the trend. There has just not been the ammo to cook this series. As there's the red 0, blue 0's gone, and that's the risk you take with these lower tier starters. Let's see what will happen here. The red 4, and it's top decking, vibing off each other. Nothing crazy.
Yep. Neither one being able to find that number that can help them be able to spring free a bit here.
Or he is looking for +2s. And Cap you have to play one on the table. He's had him in his hand. I don't even want to say +4s now, Seth, because this bot is not the most powerful for the. We talked about it. Reverse skip meta and +2s are more powerful than the +4s and the wilds. But recently, the wild card has made a comeback a little bit in the sense that it's been able to leverage players. Let's see if that continues here. Still drawing back. Huge draw city. We are a draw mile at this rate. Draw a mile.
This is going to be interesting when we finally pull the trigger to see just what kind of runs we're able to get. Like, what kind of ammo is getting built up even here? Is there any, or is it just all numbers? Cap said earlier, I think it was on the 13 card. All he had was numbers. He had the 2 green plus 2s, but everything else was just numbers. What's the situation here? How many action cards did we kind of keep in reserve in that draw city and didn't want to play them in that situation?
Undercut to the gun too. We go back into Yepez from Cap, and Yepez now playing these light switch. This was when he was the inventor of it, right? When we started 2020, he was the guy that used these light switches and really leveraged the game. How's Cap adjust this? Because we're back up to 10 plus. He's got to adjust, and it's been number after number. We have not seen anything to say we're going to get out of here in the ammo for sure.
We seem pretty content to run in blue for a while here. I was kind of wondering, once we establish a color that both players have, when do we see somebody do the preempt and try the light switch again? But Cap's iced out on blue, so Yepez will continue to run.
Cap got to get a top deck here or something. He's either he needs a top deck or he's fishing for something, because this is just interesting. There's a lot of questions we'll have to ask after this one, Seth, because Cap he's definitely playing this one tricky, where it's hard to really know his read here. Let's see if he pulls a trigger.
Tough right now as well, at least in this particular game, to figure out where the momentum is at. Seems like a bit of a stalemate at the moment. All it might take is just one move, and there it is. I was going to say, it might just take that one move to establish the momentum, and there it is. A trips play.
Back to 3. Does
Whoa.
Yepez think Cap doesn't have it? He doesn't. He doesn't have 3 efficiency.
Says thank you for using your ammo, and brings it right back to the color of his choice.
Now he's just got to play the right numbers. It's really the leverage. He knows the blue is a deficit here for Cap. He's drying it. He's drying that ice cold, and Yepez with the momentum, if he can play the right numbers now. We asked Goldie against Caesar. Played everything right. It's the raw gonna leverage that? Holy moly.
Interesting. So either out of blue or something, but now he offers an opportunity for Captain to be able to play. He'll just play it cool, though.
That's a smart move. You had the possession there, Leah. You look at the possession here. It's 5 possessions in favor of Cap, and maybe Cap needs the delta. Maybe he caught a break there, Seth, because I don't think he had anything. I think he was telling the truth. I really do.
Yeah, I think you're right. He tried something with the double +2, but that might have been the only shot he had in the barrel of his gun. Unless he's got something else for a finish, but I just don't want to play right away. But, the last couple of times I've speculated that maybe they've got something for a finish. And no, it's basically just come down to the number efficiency at the end to close out these games. Not a whole lot of ammo to be able to work with.
Yeah, it's been hard. It's been a little bit harder to read this game. We've still been able to get good reads on the switches, but in terms of the finishes, because we haven't seen that ammo, it's hard to build a notebook. And that's a popular trend with Cap games, really. It's hard to build a notebook with him. And when you do build a notebook, you might as well throw it in the trash. That's a huge play. Holy cannoli.
Whoa.
Holy cannoli. Cap gets it back.
Kidding? What is that? 1, 2, 3. That's a 7-bagger. Holy crap.
Man, Cap, you had 0 +2s to start and says, okay, let's just have 6 casually. And I think that's one of his longest game wins, 6 minutes. And maybe a minute of that was just building up the run.
Something like that, yeah.
Go ahead and ask me questions. That was a crazy game.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about when we were in that draw city, the possibility of ammo, and obviously it looks like in your situation you had a lot that you were able to garner, but you just didn't want to use it in the early going there. How much of that was initially in your hand that you were holding in reserve? I see the 2 green +2s. You had those last game as well, but didn't want to use them in the early going. I mean, how much came off the draw city? How much did you have in reserve at the initial start to be able to build up what eventually ended up being that amazing finish?
Whiplash says Yepez is gonna love it. Yepez, to be fair, you made the switch into green after he had done the first initial +2 jabs. Why the switch back to green? Was that a case of because he switched off it, you just got baited, or did you want to make the break? I had 2 +2s, and I just said it too in that draws. I don't know if they were looking for the +4s So I
Yeah.
think they were looking for the +2. I had said that too because I need to put later. We haven't seen many +4s, right? You look 4 versus 9. If you look combined, it's going to be a +2 game. You start to read. Maybe the +2s have more leverage than the +4s today. 2 wild regular, right? Just to confirm, 2 wild regulars. Yeah, okay. So that tells me it's going to be a game where +4s are not going to be as powerful as these +2s, and even the reverse skip meta, right? That's had more power than the +4s, and that's what we want with this bot. We talked about the changes with the way the bot is now. It's constructed. Reverse skips and +2s can be more powerful. The wild card is starting to make a comeback, though, as I said, because he had 2 of them, but he didn't want to effectively use them. Interesting. It's interesting right now. It's an interesting game right now. I think Cap needed that, but once again here, Seth, it's 5-8 versus the upper tier of Yepez. He got that 1-8 in the bank, but Cap, when he gets these lower tier wins, Yepez has to adapt to his style. It's not easy to adapt when you're just playing Draw City and praying for luck at sometimes, for sure.
It's interesting too. You kind of look, and obviously we went into that lengthy Draw City, but Cap going back to where he was comfortable. He went back to 8. Yepez had already won a game where Cap had called for an 8-card start, but he didn't let that deter him. He went back to what he knows, and obviously was able to find a path to the end. And I think you bring up a great point too, as far as the meta of the +2s to the +4. I feel like what we've seen here in the last, I don't know, maybe month or 2 months has been that the +4 has been used more so as a defensive card to be able to hold somebody back from a finish rather than an offensive card. It's the +2s and the chain of the +2s that have been used as the offensive move.
It's that percentage, man. It's that percentage. I know he's not here, but that's what Abion is. That's what he was famous for last year in this March tournament, even with the old body. He used +2 control, and ever since then, it's a copycat league. Some players have adapted to it, but I don't think they've used that as their pure style. That's what Abion needs. He needs +2. We talk about Peter, number of fish. Abion, +2s. Allen and Shamik, split ammo. These guys have all put that in their bag of tricks. That's the difference. When you put that in your bag of tricks where you can have it in the back end instead of just using it as the main course, the main dish, those appetizers start to add up. You start to get those calories. And that's how Cap finished that off right there. Did a little fade. And I think Cap made a mistake in that game 4-2 where he faded the wrong way and gave the blue leverage to Yepez. And now Yepez decides to make the break. And just like that, the score is back to 3-2. And Cap with some momentum. It's going to be fascinating as he gets one more start. And he's talked about, I'm going to stay mid and then go a little lower. A lot to look forward to this next one as we continue to run the gauntlet. A little longer series, too. And it's something Cap only finished it off in 20 or less that last game with Ghost. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Yep, that's the thing. Both of these guys ended up having 5-1 and 5-2 series victories in their last outings. So we just need to see what they do if we continue to draw a little bit longer into this series. Up 3-2 right now for Yepez, but Cap, you've got the call. Where are we going here for Game 6?
There it is.
Going for the 7, so we're keeping it right in that mid-tier still.
We talked about the longer endurance series. We go to the background 8. Seth, Yepez played almost a 30-minute game with Leah in that one game, and that's as we go to a switch immediately. He's been to these longer series, been on the board more in terms of Cap. I don't remember the last time Cap had a board series. It might have been that Ashley one. It's been a long time, for sure. Paz going to play that Zero Sugar. And right now, the switches from Cap, he's been just better at the switches on these lower tiers. There's a quick reverse skip meta going with the skip 1 combo. Leah to Arya.
And we're continuing with Cap's calls to go 1 down. We're getting closer down towards the lower tier, and you have to think as we're in this territory, there's less opportunity for ammo, but who knows? Maybe it's these lower card counts where the ammo is going to come out. We haven't seen it in a lot of the mid to high tiers.
Yeah, they both play each other's cards. It's funny. They played each other's cards the opposite, and they both play. And there's your Cap with a big leverage switch to yellow.
Down to 2 cards now as well. Yepez going to follow. Oh, but Cap is iced out in yellow. So now, opportunity for Yepez to draw it back even, which he will do.
Cap nothing.
It's like a little pendulum right now. Shifting back and forth.
Yepez goes to red, gives Cap a chance.
Ooh.
Cap nothing though.
Also, I'll
Yes, sir.
verify this now that Cap does not have a board series, and the last one for Yepez, well, we all know what happened there.
Okay.
And already power play. Here we go. Looking to go up 4-2 for Yepez.
I think this is a safe play because here's the thing: is he's got the 4-2.
Yes.
I think he's banking on maybe Cap. I don't know though. I mean, unless Cap had something to I don't think he did. I think it's just more of a safeguard considering that
I think it
earlier
is
power
too.
play.
I think it
Yeah.
is too. Get the 4-2. Have a couple of games to work with to try and get that game 5, complete the series. You've already got him now at a 2-1 advantage in terms of games won. I like that call there.
No more ammo. All right, Cap. Did you have anything in red, man? Before we get any further, anything in red there, or was it a case of that similar game where you had all numbers and just wasn't working out? You're fine with him taking the power play, and you have the 2-0 on the power play.
If he didn't have anything, then that's only 2 action cards that were played, 2 skips, 1 on each side. So no, the thought process of maybe with a lower card count, more ammo
Nothing.
available. Nope, nothing. Doesn't matter
Right
what number
numbers.
we're getting, they're having to work for their ammo.
Yeah, well, that's part of it with these lower tiers. Sometimes it can go 2 directions. One, it can be an absolute crack show with the ammo cards, or the other one can be the other way, where we're getting the numbers, and you have to know how to switch it, and have to have that feel. He would ice me out.
Yeah, so perfect timing there. I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020, didn't know going in, but great time of playing the power play there to be able to make sure, because Cap had the yellow 6, he had the blue 3, he could have swapped over the color depending on which card Yepez would have played.
Well, now it's a 2-0 in both directions, right? 2-0 on Cap on the power plays, 2-0 on score for Yepez, the score 4-2. That's interesting. You always get to the point now where where's the moment, but I think the momentum has shifted back in Yepez's favor here, Seth, because now we're going upper tier.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way he's going to stick with these lower tier. However, Yepez has one little seed to drop. Is we haven't been getting any action cards much on these lower tier. Does he actually risk a mid tier considering he's got the lead? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. I don't have much of a question at all because it was a quick game. But I guess Yepez, when you drew there on that green, right? When the Cap card was played, and he switched over to yellow. I'm interested to know, did you almost sense that Cap was fishing again, or did you stay calm and cool and composed knowing you had some real good numbers that had been played already, right? You look at the 3 had been played, right? The skips had been played. It almost, and the red 2 could have been a fade look. Do you think you almost stayed patient enough where that patience worked out and you were able to throttle at the end with a power play and Cap had nothing? Okay, no, that's fine. I think it was a great move. It's a fantastic move, right? Because you said the icing. So you could have throttled up and got the job done. Okay. Interesting, Seb. Let's see. Cap has not been in this position at all. He's been the controller. I mean, he came in here at a 13-3 right now. He's in a must-win next 3, but with 2 power plays. That's the conundrum here.
And if we get to a game 9, that would be the next time Cap has a call. Next 2 games, Yepez gets the call of what he wants for a card count. I got a thought of what it might be. If it ends up being, I'll explain why in a minute. But Yepez, we'll go to you. What are we looking at here for game 7?
Let's see if Seth's theory is right. Let's find out. If I knew it, yep.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And here's why, okay? Here's why I'm thinking this for 2 reasons. Number 1, he's been doing the high card counts. He had a 14, went to a 13, so he likes the high card counts. The other reason is because we need something, right? We need to find something to be able to get some ammo. We haven't found it in the mid tier. We haven't found it in the low tier. So let's full send it and see if we can find some ammo to work with.
Dangerous game for sure. We've only seen Cap with that 7-bagger really make a move on it, and he had to get that working through with the Draw City. Let's see if they actually get stuff on the back end here from the old top spin. Let's find out.
And now as well, Captain's one of those particular players, and there's a lot of them that like to use those power plays for later on in the game. I mean, now with having 2 to the 0, having used them up for Yepez, does Captain start thinking about an opportunity here of using a power play in Game 7? Does he hold on to it, thinking that number efficiency and ammo is going to be able to get him this victory, to be able to draw it up to a 4-3? It'll be interesting to see, because he does have some options now.
He does have options as Yepez runs in with the green. Long way to go, though. Now 15.
Oh, yeah.
Cap, I don't remember the last time. Maybe we did a 15. Maybe there was one series we did a 15 with him. And I wasn't here for every of his game, but he's been used to this maybe on 14 earlier in the series. Maybe he goes back to some of those notes as we go into a switch. But I think you're right here, Seth. It's going to come down to the switch. We're not seeing much right here, and this is already crazy. 3 4s and 5s? What is going on?
Yeah, we've had a couple of swaps, but we've also kind of run in them as well. It's not been quick fire swaps.
Yeah, slow burn. A lot of slow burners on these upper tier when you don't have the ammo cards. And this is an old school game of number efficiency, a game that Peter Onjak would love to sub in for. So we continue on the reds here. Let's see if Cap tries an undercut here. He won't. He'll play it cool. And the more numbers keep getting placed, the more Yepez builds the momentum, because Cap can't get as creative with it. And that's the one thing in his game is he needs to be more creative. Can't get with it, but all it takes is one, as you said, as we continue the reds.
Yeah, right now for Cap, I think this is a crucial game where he has to find a color that Yepez runs out of, establish the advantage. Right now, both of them been able to run efficiently with whatever color it is, and now, little heat check here.
Cap buy into that, really.
I'm not sure if this is necessarily a heat check, because we hadn't run in the blue yet.
Not necessarily a heat check, but when you're up 4-2, you never know what the mind games. That's the only thing
He's on the offensive, saying this is the color I want to go to, and Cap with a double play, going to play along with that.
Oh, there's the switch. Great move.
Now, there you go.
That's great, because he still may have had stuff in the blue, right? So you take your chances, go back to yellow, and it's still numbers, man. We are not fishing for anything right now.
Nope, not yet. Getting down to that interesting territory as well, and...
it's a mistake!
Oh!
I have not seen Cap make a mistake all tournament.
Didn't play the color for the +2, so it only read the yellow 8 on the command.
Now Yepez can just play cool here, because...
Look at that. So he says, all right, so I'm going to make sure you don't get to play that yellow +2. He's going to bring it over into the green.
Yeah, now Yepez feels comfortable.
That's tough.
Unless he has a green +2 as a workaround.
Right.
Yepez can't do anything with power play, so that's the thing. Cap has it if he needs it. He's saying game, it's over? That +2 may have cost Cap.
That very well could have. That slight misstep on the type for the command. At 3 cards, what do we have potentially here to close this out? Oh, wow.
Yeah, that +2 cost Cap.
As well.
That +2 just cost Cap, not the series, but that game potential. Wow.
Wow.
Cap, we got to go to Cap first, man. You got to ask him a question. What was
I mean, Cap, this was a crucial game. You needed to establish the momentum in this one. It looked like, at least for the time being, you were keeping a stalemate, maybe shading to have the advantage, but just that one command, not getting the Y typed in there for the +2. I mean, as KT said, super rare mistake there. If you hadn't had that slip up, what were we looking at? Would this have gone to a game 8?
Yeah, I think you never know, right? Those 2 cards. Let's see. We gotta ask him for probably no.
Just probably not.
Numbers game again, Cap? Just too many numbers? Just couldn't. Okay, so let's say he plays the yellow +2. It's a yellow 8.
If he plays the yellow +2, he's got nothing to be able to go to. He leaves it open, and then the +2s Yepez had would have still allowed him to chain to the victory. Again, kind of like back in that, what was it, the 4th game?
Where power play.
He was basically stuck.
Now, he had a power play though. The only thing I
That
think
is
he
true.
could have,
Yeah.
he could have actually got it with a power play. He just had to sniff it out.
Yeah.
The question
That's a
is,
fair
would Cap
point.
have used it? He probably would have. Because at that rate, you can't take him with you. It's rare to see Cap get burned on that. Yeah, I think that +2 mistake was. I'm not going to say it was the end all to be all, but it definitely cost him a little bit of momentum. Yepez, you move on, man. Huge win today. Excluding that one mistake from Cap, you pretty much played the numbers. And did you feel this was an old school type of game where you could go back into the bag of tricks? Maybe being a third-year member of the league now, where you've seen almost every type of meta. Right. Do you feel with the low ammo games you can rely on more on that number of fish to leverage it? Your thoughts on I believe this is your I have to check third or fourth Final Four. I always count Super League. I think this is your third Final Four coming up. Second regular, yeah. Third
Symmetry
overall.
of this is crazy. In the 5-2 game, the 5 seed wins 5-2.
Wow.
That is
You're right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, Yepez has been on a heater too.
Were you doing the seedings, or were you already predicting the number of wins they were going to have here in the Elite Eight? I'm curious.
I wasn't doing the seeding. That's all Sanford, man. I'm
We'll talk to him
I'm
later.
just, no, I'm literally updating my bracket, and I just see that I'm like, oh my god, the symmetry is literally insane.
Well, Yepez, your thoughts on you'll have that 100th win game. You just need one more in the next series. Who knows? It could come game one. Your thoughts on playing Nick or Toast, right? That will happen tomorrow night. And your thoughts on the question I asked were: did you just feel a little bit more used to the meta of these old school all number games where you could go back into your bag of tricks where maybe Cap hadn't been used to that? Cap, what do you take away from this tournament? Knowing you start the year 3-1, right? Still at the top of the heap. Obviously, Legends class still a long way to go because there's so many of us left. But your thoughts on just a good run to start the year as we go into your tournament coming up where you won it last year in the Ocean? Yes, I think this was a game where my final thoughts on this, it was an old school, ton of numbers. I don't think we have a stat. I wish we did of just numbers played. I think that's something we can look into maybe down the road. And just how many numbers were played. And it came down to those switches. And 7 games, we're averaging 25 for Yepez. You're looking at a less than 4 switches per game, right? Some of them fake, of course, artificial. Cap pretty much averaged 3 switches per game. I think you said it best, though. The +4s were limited. They were defensive. The +2 metas and the reverse skips were more powerful today. But I think the ultimate decider was just the numbers came down to the end, and Cap just wasn't able to get stuff cooking on that upper tier, which was, in this case, 13 through 15.
Yeah, the running storyline was the number efficiency and the light switch efficiency for sure. We saw a couple of moments there. We saw the finish here in Game 7 for Yepez. We saw the 7-bagger for Captain at the end of Game 5. So we did see where some ammo came into play. But really, the early tempo of the games and a lot of the late tempo of most of these games was about the number of efficiency. There just didn't matter if we were low tier, mid tier, high card count. We saw it here with a full send, obviously, but we really didn't see where these guys were able to rely on ammo to be able to get those chains they needed at the end. If anything, we saw a lot of them as a kind of a heat check, a kind of a fade, and then there was an answer back, but we really didn't see them played offensively as much because there really wasn't a whole lot of ammo to work with. So as you said, old school, going back to the number efficiency, which you kind of look at that in retrospect, looking forward here for Yepez and in Captain for future tournaments, that might actually be a good thing. It's something that they weren't necessarily used to coming into this, being able to rely on ammo efficiency in the past series that they were in. Now that adds a new notch into their belt that they can use moving on.
The Cap basically said it. I'm sure he'll have a quote later. I learned.
Yeah, use the low tier.
Yeah, I learned how to get better cards.
In the low tier.
I predicted that Yepez was doing the full send. Next game that Captain's in, he has the call. We're starting with 5, apparently.
Yeah, game 1, tournament 2.
Immediately
he plays,
5.
He would have gone 5.
Well,
if we got to game 9, he would have gone 5. There's no doubt.
Of course, pending seeding, obviously Cap's going to feed a top 8 finish here. Who knows? And with how many big names lost, he's still in contention for either that same 2-1 or maybe the worst one. You never know how things will shake out. But yeah, Cap he's still the guy, right? A player that's going to come back. We're going into his tournament where last year, let's not forget, he finished 1-1 this tournament last year as a rookie. Right, lost to Ashley, who eventually went out to go to the finale. He's now 3-1. He's got some extra wins in the bank. For Yepez, the Vengeance Tour, I think he said in this call he's not going to be denied. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Toasty and Yepez, or it's Nick Yepez. Obviously, if it's Toasty Yepez, it's logistics, but Nick Yepez, it's probably doable with 10 p.m. We'll see. This is going to be a fascinating thing for him. We got one champion in now. Still two more out there lurking, right? Of course, the world champ, Ashley, and of course, myself won the March champ last year. We'll see. A lot can go on. Yepez moves on. He's the first guy in the Legends class in the Final Four. Let's see if the other two can match, or does he claim it here? We'll find out.
Yeah, and again, too, a lot of these, even this late into the tournament, where you kind of look at the numbers and you say, all right, well, the odds are this person is the favorite. With this new meta, with this new bot, it has really shaken things up, and it has us kind of have to be in the moment. We can't do any predictions or anything because the bot's like, hold on just a second, hold on, I got something to say about this.
Yeah, that bot, man, let me tell you, it's always got the answer right, and you just never know what's going to happen. We'll see. Be an interesting one. Seth, take us to the bracket and close us out, man, for a good. A lot of airtime today, but I think we got a little bit more serious time, which is nice. We got that almost half hour compared to, 15 minutes. We're making progress, making some progress.
Definitely did, and I think there's going to be. I think we're going to have an equally lengthy and interesting series coming up here later on tonight. This being the first of two battles in the Elite Eight. We settle out Gryffindor tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Ashley versus Chomik. That's going to be an interesting one. Very easily could see one of those two taking on Yepez, who took the victory in this one. Then tomorrow you've got Nick and Toaster Guy. Winner of that will face off against Yepez in the Final Four. And then late night, 9:30, we got KT taking on Lane Sanders to see who's going to face off against the winner of Ashley Chomik later on this evening. But a good one here. Two Titans went to war. One comes away with the victory, that being Yepez. He'll wait in the wings to see who he's going to face off against from the Ravenclaw region. Appreciate KT joining me on commentary. Short there on the reffing. And congratulations to Yepez. He will move on to the Final Four here in the regional finals for March Madness. We appreciate everybody tuning into the coverage here for MRE Uno. We'll see you guys later on tonight at 9 p.m. for the Gryffindor Final Four battle.